Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another little Mainstage tutorial on something that I've been playing around with today. Haven't had a chance quite yet to test it out in terms of an actual live setup, but this is just a demonstration because I was reading around on the Mainstage on the Apple forums and Kontakt forums about using the Kontakt sampler with Mainstage, and a lot of people having CPU problems and it's spiking. And problems like that, basically running it live. They said they were unable to get a couple of VSTs of Kontakt up without the computer going into the red. So, and that's kind of, I wanted to use that for some brass sounds. I got hold of Mojo horns the other week and it sounds great, and I wanted to use it live and was panicking in case I got these CPU problems. So I've had a little look at it and remembered something called the IAC driver, which comes as standard with any Mac. And we're going to have a little look at using that today and what that does and how I think that you can have a crack at trying to get around that problem. Okay, so here is a session that I've just loaded up blank just for the purpose of this testing thing. So again, here we see our layout. Now I've just got my Axiom keyboard, which if you look at in my other videos, you'll see it's on there. So that's all I've got here, just the keyboard set to receive data here off the Axiom. Full 16 channels, this bit will be important later on. Full 16 channels are sending from the keyboard to Mainstage, so that's fine. So the example, what I would usually do here, I'll just move my phone away, would be to say this is my concert that I'm playing. I've got song 1, and I want to use, so like I say, I've got, I use brass and strings with my Kontakt sampler player. I know everyone might have loads of other different things, so that's cool. So let's say song 1, I wanted to use a saxophone from the Mojo Brass. On another song, I wanted to use a piccolo trumpet or a flute. Song 3, etc., a trumpet, blah, 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 blah. How I would usually go about doing this is, so it'd usually go song 1, create a track, a software instrument, and then I would load up my, where are we? There we go. My stereo will do. My Kontakt sampler. I would come into the brass, whatever I listed that as, a sax. So, for the sake of this, I'll do an alto sax. Okay. There we go. So that's working. So I would usually do that, and then for song 2, I would go in again, make a software instrument, load up another Kontakt, and then load up, in this example, a flute instrument there, so on and so forth, right through down these lists here. Now the point of that being is that you would end up effectively running 6 different inserts of Kontakt within this one concert. Now this is excluding the fact that you might want to partition your keyboard up and layer it, and maybe use for this song, song 1, you might want the sax coming off the Mojo Brass, the Kontakt bit, but then again you might want a piano coming from, I don't know, Reason Rewire, or even just the standard sounds that come with it. So there's a lot more on top of that you would probably do other than just load it up. But just for the purpose of demonstration, we're going to say, so in this instance you would have to have 6 completely running, 6 instances loaded of Kontakt, all separate from one another, which is, I imagine, pretty straining on the CPU. So the other option I thought of doing this is similar to a rewire, except for the fact that Kontakt won't allow rewiring into any applications. So there's this thing called the IAC driver, which comes with any Mac and any OS system that comes with Mac. I think I got into it, I got a Mac around the Tiger stage, and I think it was still in there, so it goes way back. And basically this acts as a virtual MIDI interface between 2 software programs. So taking aside the fact that I'm saying virtual at the minute, in a hardware instance, this would be literally from me going from my keyboard, out of my keyboard via MIDI into this little hub thing that can send it to a hardware sampler and back. That's the kind of, in real world, in hardware, what it would do. So in here, it's going to be our interface. It's the thing that makes Mainstage talk to Kontakt, because they won't talk directly through any rewire or anything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight in. I'm going to open up my Kontakt here again. Now this is, let me redo this again and just check that this isn't inserted. Yeah, it is. So going to make sure Kontakt is well and truly, yeah, it's not open. Completely shut now. It's not in any operation. So I'm going to open it. And because I've opened it directly from its application folder as opposed to opening it through a channel path, which comes through Mainstage, this is completely separate. So now I've got Mainstage and Kontakt completely separate at the minute. But you see, as I'm pressing my keyboard, there's no MIDI activity. They don't talk to each other, and they won't. So what we're going to do is jump into this thing, which is if you go to Applications, and it's in the Utilities folder. And somewhere around here, Audio and MIDI setup. I'm running Snow Leopard 10.6.8 here, so if you've got an older version, it might look slightly different, but ultimately what you want to try and do is get to this bit, the Show MIDI window. Okay. And this is usually what will come up. Obviously, it won't say Digi 002 if you don't have that sound interface. You'll have some sort of M-Box or whatever you're using, your keyboard, whatever that is hooked up. And then this thing, the IAC driver, which I think defaults to being turned off. So we're going to jump in here. I'm going to click Show Information. And all you want to do is click this Online. The device is now online. And then you can jump in here and name it whatever you want. So I'm just going to call this, just for the sake of understanding what it's doing exactly, we're going to call this the virtual bus. Let me just check that's all good. Okay. And click that Online, and now you'll see that it's read it out a little bit more than it was before. So that's online. So remember, this is just an alternative MIDI path of routing information around. So I'm sorry I've got a cold this week, hence why I'm talking through my nose a bit. But so we're going to jump in. So now, instead of what we would have done, which would have been created a channel and inserted the instrument, we're going to find a way to route out of Mainstage to the instrument completely without inserting it. So we're going to look at song 1, to which the instance is I want a saxophone playing from the Mojo Brass sound libraries. So instead of a software instrument, we're going to create an external instrument. Now this is fine. Yep, receive the MIDI data from my keyboard. That's all good. MIDI output, I'll leave it there for a minute, although I think you can do it there. Here we go, the virtual bus. But I'm not going to do it on that one, but you can. MIDI channel 1, that's fine. Stereo, blah, 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 that's okay. So I'm creating this now. So I'm just going to delete the standard there. So I'm going to call this sax. This is going to be my sax pad. So, as you see, I'm playing the keys. We've got nothing. Okay. So channel 1 is the MIDI channel it's sending out of. Now, the MIDI out. So we want to come... So my keyboard is getting played into Reason. So, to Mainstage. Mainstage is taking the MIDI data here, and it's going to send it out of Mainstage to the virtual bus, which is here, on channel 1. So now we're coming out of the virtual bus on channel 1. So as I'm playing this, effectively, if you can imagine, these notes are coming from the keyboard through Mainstage, then they're coming through when I find the thing, through this virtual bus here, through the virtual bus, and effectively into Kontakt. That's the idea we're trying to get. So let's jump into Kontakt, and we've got. So let's load up. What did I say it was? I think I said it was a sax. So there's our sax. Boom. And we've got sound. Now, just to prove that this is coming through Mainstage, if I change to song 2. Is that because MIDI? Okay, sorry for that for a second. I forgot that because it's running standalone, it's equally accepting the keyboard data. So my keyboard's going straight to Kontakt and straight to Mainstage at the same time. So for a live setup there, you just want to jump into the MIDI and turn off. So Kontakt's it doesn't want to hear anything that you're playing on the keyboard. That needs to be all designated through Mainstage. So there we go. So just turn that off there. And as you can see, the IAC bus is in there. So that's all good. So sorry, so here we go again. Song 1 is coming through. Now why this is coming through is, as we've said here, it's going to come out of channel 1 of the IAC bus. So in here, this little bit, we'll see we're going to make that one. Song 2, we want a flute, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to make this channel 2 now. Call that a flute. And then over in Kontakt, I'm just going to find, typical I would say flute, as there isn't one. Okay, we're just going to go for something else. Let's do a clarinet. That's close enough to a flute. So these are just the light patches I'm loading up. Okay, our clarinet. Now we're going to make this come from, it says and others. When it says and others, that's meaning the IAC bus. So if I make this 2, we now see when I'm on song 2 here, it's still taking the keyboard data and it's sending it out. And now because we've selected this to be 2, only the clarinet is receiving the data. Then equally when I jump back to song 1 here, and I get my main, there we go. So we can see that in Mainstage we're jumping from a sax to a flute. And you know, equally we go on, let's just do one more to prove a point. That's fine. Output, there we go. So this is coming off 3. I'm going to call this piccolo trump. Jump into Kontakt. Let's load up piccolo trumpet. And this automatically is assuming that I want it to be 3, but obviously you can set that up to be whatever. But 3 is what we want for this instance. Oh, that's weird. So here we go. So, just to clarify this, so song 1, we've got our sax. Our flute, which is a clarinet. Piccolo trumpet. So the point of this doing, now I'm running the Mac Pro here, which is quite pretty souped up with 8 gig of RAM, etc. But you can see the CPU there is 3% because it's Mainstage is now having to deal with anything to do with Kontakt. It's just purely an interface for routing MIDI data, which is all you want it to be when you just want to jump between songs, and Kontakt does the rest. And the other good thing is, in this instance, running Kontakt in standalone, it works. You know it works good because that's what it's meant to work good in standalone as well as being inserted into other DAW programs. But keeping it like this, what you can do is for your whole concert. So obviously I've only got strings and Mojo here and Abbey Road drums, but you could have tons and tons and tons of different, all your favourite ones, and whatever your performance is. So you know if you're saving one particular concert where you need piano, strings, brass, anything like that runs in Kontakt, you just throw them all in here. So you might even have 25 or something like that listed here. And then in Mainstage, you can just, the way we've just done, just rewire things to that. So as opposed to having to install 6 Kontakts into Mainstage, you just get to leave one open in standalone, and through using Mainstage, direct the MIDI through to that. So that's my way. That's the way I'm going to try and have a little crack with it live and see how that goes. But hopefully that should help with some of the problems that I've seen creeping up on forums and whatnot. So hopefully that's good. And a big thank you to all the emails I've been getting and stuff. I do try my hardest to get back to them if I can. And yeah, so thanks. I hope this helps some people. Just let me know what you think. Let me know how you get on with it and any problems. But thanks again, and see you soon.